Steal. I'm Walt. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey, and I'm Mike, and today we're going to be talking about AdWords, hourly bidding, and optimizations you can do with that. Bing has it too, but it's a lot harder to work with, so we're going to focus on Google for today.
So there's 6 day parts per day that you can set Google up, and that's good, but...
Yeah, so that's like 0 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 12.
Exactly. These are the different parts of your day that as you go through, you have different performance in the morning, different performance maybe in the afternoon, but that's not very granular, and there's a lot that are happening in these 6 day parts. So what if 168 different hourly updates were available or bid adjustments were available?
Yeah, wouldn't it be great to change the bids for your campaigns by hour for every single day of the week? So bid modify all the things. This is where the biggest gains happen. So you can't actually do this in AdWords straight up, but we have a way.
I've got to stop you, Mike, because it's
Tell the story of how we got to this point.
It's not our way. So it was early January, I believe, of this year, and this was the headline I saw and this image, and it caught my eye. So every hour of the day you can optimize bids, and I saw this chart. So really, Daniel Gilbert of Brain Labs, we want to say thank you.
Yeah, huge shout out. Thank you.
He provided the script, an easy way to set it up, and obviously as soon as I saw it, that was the most important thing I can do that day. So I went to it. I think it was at a Starbucks, and
in general, it's just a script that attaches to a Google spreadsheet, and you have your table of the days of the week and the hours of the day, and you say what your modifiers in, and it automatically runs every hour in Google and pulls that data and applies it to your campaigns automatically.
Exactly, and it's been so powerful.
So I've got a little bit of a gift for you guys, though. I've taken Daniel's script and heavily modified it through the years. We're using the API now, but we've heavily modified this script to do a lot of other cool features and require a little bit less maintenance than it used to before.
Before you could run certain campaigns by hour, so your script, you could actually segment it.
You would say like where my campaign contains the word desktop, let's say, and does not contain
or a certain
whatever
type of category traffic, whatever it may be.
But what I did is I added multiples for that, an array of them, so you could just say, oh, it contains desktop and it contains night, and the word also starts with a C or something like that, multiple ones for inclusion and exclusion. It helped us because you were saying, hey, I need to segment a little bit further.
Exactly, and this has set us on 9 months now of just continual optimization.
Yeah. So at the end of this video, we're going to go through a how-to of how to use that script and get it set up on your site, because it's a little bit in the depths of AdWords. Yeah. It's a little trickier to find and deal with if you've never dealt with scripts before.
So the 168 segments, this is kind of what it looks like right here. As you can see, Monday through Sunday, every single hour, there's hot periods, or actually cold periods, where the performance is lower,
and hot ones.
And then there's hot ones.
And if you notice, each day of the week, they're not all uniformly the same. And your data will show this as well. Monday is not the same as Tuesday, is not the same as Wednesday.
Exactly. So it's all about modifying your bids by hour of the day and day of the week.
All right, so the first thing before we even start, you have to wonder, how on earth do I understand what, like, let's say my conversion is by day of week, hour of the day combination? The dimension report, you'd think you'd first go there. You can look at them separately over a range of time, but you cannot look at them together. So you can, though, with the report. So if you have conversions in AdWords, this will help you a lot. You click the Reports tab, you create a new table report, and then the first thing you do is you take day of week and add it as a column. It'll say rows or columns, drag it over there. Second thing you do is hour of the day as the first row, and then add whatever metrics you want. Click-through rate, CPC, conversion rate, cost per conversion, and you'll get this nice table that you can look and compare Monday 1 a.m. versus Tuesday 1 a.m. versus Wednesday 1 a.m. And you can see them all really easily.
And I think one point too is depending on your data set, you probably need at least 30, 60, 90 days.
Yeah.
You maybe want to go further back to make sure that your data is statistically relevant.
Significant, yeah. You want more data, especially those off hours.
Yes.
You usually probably don't have that many clicks in.
Exactly.
So why on earth would you use this?
I hope you have some ideas already. If you don't, you may not get as much from this.
This is really, really powerful.
So really, starting with just the basics is obviously just the value by hour. The value of traffic is not the same by hour.
Yes. So why are you bidding the same?
Exactly. So even aside from days of the week, let's just start there. Just make sure that the hours are in alignment with the value that you're getting. So The other is to grow market share. This is actually a huge thing. If you want to know what it's like to be maybe position 1 or 2 or 3 for different campaigns, doing that all day long is more
really
likely,
expensive.
Yeah.
Do it just for an hour and test that hour and see what happens.
Exactly. I kind of like to think of it as I can't run with an Olympic miler, but I might be able to for 30 seconds.
Right.
And maybe I can do it for a minute, maybe for 2 minutes. So the idea is that inside of a day, there are periods where you can bring out your guns and basically, that's a bad word, but bring out your best strategies, your best ads, messaging, landing page experiments.
And the more competitive your industry is, the better this
Exactly.
approach is.
So the other thing is we actually took off a lot of our existing day parts where, and we actually use our bid platform to control hours of the day in terms of when we're on. But what we did is we just said, let's go 24 hours a day and use the bid. Maybe at 11 p.m. our bid is down to 20 or 30% of the actual
Or
base
80%.
bid.
It's important to note the lowest you can go on these bid modifiers is minus 90%.
Yes.
But that helps a lot. And the
Exactly.
highest you can go is plus 300. So it's quadrupling. Your
Exactly. The other thing to do is using it as a testing platform. It's very easy now for an entire account. You could basically go in and, as I just mentioned, do experiments. You can test things with different bids, campaigns, messaging, ads, even user experience. You could say, you know, at nighttime, we're going to try a new campaign. So for 2 or 3 hours, we're going to do an experiment. All of our campaigns or certain types of campaigns are going to be bid up 20, 30%.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a little chart we put together. This is taking one of our sites, and we were showing a 30-day period before we applied any hourly bid modifiers to it.
And a 30-day period
and 30-day period after it. And this is all days averaged in for that 30 days. So this is CPC, and you can see it's relatively even and stable. There's some peaks at the low off hours. That's mostly because we didn't have much data.
I think one thing too to note is after this train passes by, so perfect. So basically what you see is we've got a fixed bid, but obviously it's not consistent, the CPC over
And that's
the
because the
month.
market's always changing. Competitors are changing.
Exactly. So right now, and this was from a while ago, because we've been doing this for probably about 7-8 months, but if you look in your industry just at what your hourly CPC is, you'll see what some of the big competitors are doing, and that can already kind of give you a clue to what you might want to do as well, at least as a starting point.
Yeah.
But
so take a look at what happened after. These off hours go way low. We were able to penalize. This particular site was dealing with a lead industry where live coverage of reps mattered. And so we were able to really lower our bids way down at night. There's still some value there, but not as much. And then really boost the bids during the day. And this kind of, we did it to match as much as we could what our conversion rate and our lifetime value looks like for those day hours.
And the reason why this went up as high as it did is because it's working.
Yes.
I mean, that's the other thing is it's not just obviously about spending more money and getting more traffic and improving your market share, but actually getting those high value customers, those leads during the best hours.
And just like CPC, conversion is not static. It's just not. Days of the week are different. Hours of the day are different. This is why late night infomercials happen late at night because psychology of people changes throughout the day.
And this is not broken down by day of the week. These are just by hour for a 30-day period. So again, this is what it looks like. Basically, this chart, we'll go back to it. This is by hour, but now just imagine 7 of those. There are 7 different charts basically and graphs as you can imagine in your business. So,
all right, so let's talk about some power plays, some fun things that we can do with this. The very first thing is I say take the segments beyond the day or hour. This is where we saw the biggest wins for us. Likely you have campaigns that are around different themes of keywords or campaigns that even are those themes but targeting different devices or targeting different geolocations. Those segments, take those and add hour and day combined with it. Using the script we're going to give you, it'll be in the description, we'll have a how-to. You can actually say only campaigns with this in the name or use labels or whatever and say only these things.
This is actually taking that theme, or we call it theme, it's basically category, label, however you want to define it, but taking a certain type of intent, search intent, and even actually display as well, but taking that and a device and now a day and even an hour, you basically can figure out what it takes to increase that market share, that performance, and you're just isolating it one theme at a time. And that's a great way to test and grow instead of just saying, oh, I tried to move all my bids up for my whole entire account. It didn't work.
Yeah. Now this gets exponential very, very quickly, but just start higher. Just start day, hour, and then be like, I wonder if I did my mobile campaigns just a certain way. Okay, within mobile, how about these themes or these labels? And you'd be surprised. It's not as many as you would think.
Exactly.
But you can deal with this in an easy way.
We've been doing this now for about, like I said, 8 or 9 months, and we're still heavy in optimizing it. So it's, I mean, that could sound like bad news, but it's actually great news.
It's a big rabbit hole where you get huge gains out of the micro changes.
So that's why, optimize small data for big gains. Hot mode. This is something that we haven't really heard talked about, but one thing we identified a while ago is that we would see these differences in performance. And one day things would be amazing overall. The next day things were rough and we couldn't figure, why is everything down 30%? And we were always a step behind trying to figure out what it was, and we kept, oh, maybe it's just an anomaly. Well, who cares if it's an anomaly or not? It's happening. So if it's happening, why don't you take advantage of it? Don't assume it's going to continue happening tomorrow or maybe even for the next 3 or 4 hours, but something is happening. People either like your messaging today more or a little bit more than they did the day before or less. The key is using these hourly bid modifiers. You can basically adjust your bids by hour on those hot days or those cold days.
So the way we tactically handle this, and we do it differently now with the API, but we would look at 8 a.m. our time and be like, well, what sites or themes seem to be trending? Go into those hourly scripts, which are attached to a Google spreadsheet, and then you just go in and you know it's a Wednesday, so you go on Wednesday and you'd be like, the next 4 hours, I'm going to double my bid modifiers and just crank it up and see what happens.
Exactly. And if it starts pulling back, you can quickly retreat and pull your bids back.
Right.
But this is something that's happening, and most advertisers are not taking advantage of it. And again, they're just high-fiving because it's a great day, but they're not
Why
doing
not get
something
more
different.
market share during that day?
Exactly. So here's some questions that will lead to more power plays.
of how you can use it in your particular business. First thing is use the report we talked about or your own CRM or whatever it is and figure out your highest converting day-hour combinations. Start from there because that's the value side of your graph. Figure out what your value distribution looks like in terms of conversion. Start there. And that's going to help you make more appropriate hour bids, hour day bids.
Exactly. That's where we started. We just said, okay, let's just do the most obvious high value 80-20 here. And that's where we started. And then after that, we were feeling adventurous. So if you are, focus on those segments and start with your highest value segments now. Like if there was any traffic or type of traffic we're having 100% market share at a position 1, 2, or 3 would be worth a lot. Focus on that first.
Yep.
So this next question, are there lower value hours or days? This is an important question because most people don't really focus on the low value. They just know, pull my bids back, turn them off. The thing is, your valuable customers are still online.
And they're still real people.
Absolutely. Think about your behavior in whatever market you're in. It may not be to pick up the phone and talk to a salesperson or to submit a full long form at that point. But you may be researching. You actually may be in a perfect place to be educated. And so there's a lot of things, whether it's a white paper or whatever it is, come up with different strategies and at least focus on that low value traffic. Maybe even your messaging needs to change. Potentially at later hours, you can schedule certain ads to run that actually have unique offers or discounts for the lower value hours or days. But that's a huge growth opportunity in your market that it definitely takes more work, but focus on something that's low value and then figure out where it is, what the baseline is, and come up with a strategy and execute.
And the trick is don't just remove those hours and hours immediately, but actually, if they're still real people, if you got them at the right price, that's what matters.
Exactly, yeah.
And how you monetize
Exactly.
it. So think of your lowest ones. We used to think of that, we'll just turn off those hours, but in reality, there's still value in them. Mm-hmm. So deep dive into there, look where the value is even on the low side, and just adjust your bids accordingly.
Yeah, and this is also one of those kind of under the radar strategies that a lot of people are not doing, so push hard on that.
And then really what day hours have the highest lifetime value. It's not always the same as your conversion rate. It's, you might have less conversions late at night, but they tend to be higher value ones.
Yeah.
And they'll buy more upsells, or they'll buy more expensive products,
your
or whatever
cost
it may
per
be.
lead, your cost per lead may skyrocket at night, and it looks like, okay, we've got to pull this off. But focus on, and actually you should really track those people separately in your actual conversion funnel if it's a lead.
Yeah. So don't shoot yourself in the foot thinking that low conversion actually means low value. Not necessarily. It might be less of those things, but you could be some of your best customers actually come in late at night.
Exactly. Also, it may be too that, like we were saying, changing your messaging. You may have almost exclusive video process where you're using education and different things to help them. And so 168. Remember this number and think about it. Maybe even write it down or put it on your whiteboard wall. If you don't have one, just write it down somewhere. This is so important because once you realize that a market is made up of 168 segments, and that's actually just the entire market. When you talk about the different segments we talked about within that, so you have to multiply it now by device,
By words.
by themes, exactly. We actually didn't
By
even
geo.
go into this, but we do by geo. We also added match types. That's actually, I'm glad we just thought of it because one thing is when you're doing your bid modifiers, abroad is a very dangerous thing to significantly increase the, because you're getting further, basically the gravitational pull from that broad increases significantly as your bid goes up.
Yes.
So now you start, Google all of a sudden believes this keyword makes sense to about tons of different things, you know? So just be careful with that.
So we like to put our broad words in one campaign, phrase words in another, and exact another, so we can segment and use hourly bids to smartly do bid modifiers.
We actually have some exacts where we'll increase up to 200% during certain hours.
But we wouldn't do broads that way.
Yeah, the broad might only have a 10-15% increase. So just remember, each segment, the 168 hours, focus on that because if you want to grow your market, the exciting thing is you can start by doing it 1 hour at a time and coming up with actual strategies based on that time of the day. So, let's see.
That's it.
That's it.
All right.
Do something.
Go do something about it. If you stay tuned after this video, we're going to do a screencast how-to of how I'm going to walk through how to install the script and deal with it in your own AdWords account. And so you'll be able to do something right now and just at least start this process. It's totally worth it to bid modify and all the things.
Come up with the plan for yourself because we went into segments, and again, the power plays is really getting into the fine detail.
Yeah.
But if you're not even doing this, don't start there. Start with the biggest segments, start with the biggest day parts, and just start there. The other thing you can do is make sure you snapshot a good 60, 90-day report by hour of what your performance is, your CPC, your position, your conversion, cost per conversion, your market share. And then compare it to a month after or 90 days after you start testing this. And that's why I said we're still in 8-9 months now of testing. We're still tweaking it and adjusting it. So it's a journey, but just know it's a huge lever to pull anytime you want to increase performance or test.
Exactly. All right, thank you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in, and best of luck with the hourly bid optimization.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear about how it's going, and if you need any help or have any questions, just reach out. We'd love to always help.
Thanks again, Daniel.
Yeah. Yes, Daniel, thank you. Bye.
Hey everyone, this is Mike here with Envoy. I'm going to show you how to install that hourly bid optimization script Walt and I just talked about in the video. So here I have the envoymediagroup.com homepage loaded up. Just go to envoymediagroup.com and you'll look on that page. There'll be a section called Code. Now we're in the middle of redesigning this website, but we'll have a section called Code that you can go to find this stuff in the future. And on Code, it's this first link here, AdWords hourly bid optimization script and template. Click that and then click to go through to GitHub where we have it hosted. And there's a README here that talks a bit about the finer points of formatting the Google template, the Google Doc, and other things. But what we want out of here, just go ahead and click the hourly bid optimization.js. This is the actual code of the script itself. And to easily copy it, we're going to go ahead and click raw. We're going to do a select all, Command A or Control A, and then Command C or Control C, depending on if you're on Mac or PC, to copy. And here we're going to take a look at our AdWords account. So we have 3 campaigns here. Let's imagine this is Zappos' first AdWords campaign ever, and they have red shoes, green shoes, and blue shoes. Very, very simple. We only have 3 campaigns in this account. I'm going to show you where to go to install the script. So down here on the left, we have bulk operations. That's where we want to click, and that's going to bring up the script section for us. If it doesn't, it may bring up a page that has you select between bulk edits, bulk uploads, but click scripts, and you can also go on the left nav and click scripts over here. And what we want to do is hit plus script. Go ahead to add a new one. So we're going to hit that. It's going to load. And let's see. All right, so it has a thing called unnamed script. So let's just call it hourly bid optimizations. We'll start there. And we are going to, once again, delete this stuff and paste in the code that we just put in. Great. All our code is now in there. And what we also have to do is authorize it. Every time you change the name of the script or add a new one, you have to authorize it. And what it does is it gives you a thing that's saying, you know, would you like to allow this script to manage your AdWords campaigns? And you have to say allow. So that part is important. If you see an error about authorization, you need to go ahead and click that allow button. So I'm going to show you the configuration parts of this script. The first thing you want to configure is the spreadsheet URL. And this is just the shareable Google Sheet URL that you're using. You need to take the template and then copy and paste it and make your own. It's currently defaulted to the template that everyone is able to view and copy and paste. You probably don't want to use that because you can't edit it at all. But it will work if you actually use it. So this is that URL. And you also can specify the tab name of the spreadsheet. So at the bottom, you can name your spreadsheets, and they defaulted to sheet 1. So that's what this is defaulted to. And here is the most important bits here. We have two variables. One is include campaign name contains. And basically anything in this, these things have to be found within the names of whatever you're looking at. And on the exclude, it's select which, anything in the name that you want to exclude on. And the include campaign names is basically doing kind of an or, this or that, and the exclude is really like an and modifier. It can't have foo or bar. Both of these are not allowed. So here's what we do. If you wanted to just get everything in your account, you can just go ahead and delete the stuff in between these brackets here, and it'll be an empty array. And if you've never coded before, congratulations, you're coding your first JavaScript here. But let's just say we want to add something for this account. So we can go ahead and say shoes, because we had red shoes, green shoes, and blue shoes. So we're going to say shoes, but you know what? We don't want that green one touched. And so we're going to put green in the exclude. If you want to do multiples, if we didn't want it to touch blue, we would just do comma, another quote, and put whatever words you want in quotes. The other point to make sense here is the matching is case insensitive. It does not matter if it's capitalized or not capitalized, it'll match it. You'll notice I did lowercase shoes, even though it's title cased with a capital S in the actual campaign name, doesn't matter. So let's just do this. I'm going to take away the blue. So we say we want red and blue shoes to be part of this hourly bid optimization. We do not want the green campaign. Let's say we're going to make another script for the green campaign. So that's what this does. Now I'm going to switch over to the tab of the template so you can see what it is. And you basically have kind of sunk my battleship grid here. The top is day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all the way through Sunday. And the hours, 0 all the way to 23. And that's really just midnight to 11 p.m. is the way you think about that. And you can change your modifiers. We have a whole bunch of sample ones. The boosts are colored in green and dark green for really big boosts. And then the red is a penalty. You want to bid down. And the dark red is bidding down by more than 50%. So let's go ahead and see what we have here. We have Sunday. It's currently 3 p.m. So that's 15. We're on Sunday, so that'd be a minus 20%. Okay, now there's two things in pink over here I want to point out. Current modifier. This actually, the script writes back to the script to let you know what the current modifier is. And it's going to be not a percentage like what you're seeing on the left here. It's actually going to be a multiplier, which was what Google does. And it's if I multiply this number by this, this is what happens. So a 1 means no change, because if you multiply any number by 1, it's the same number. So that's what that is. You don't touch it. The script will automatically deal with that for you. And right below it is another boost, and it's called the hot mode boost. And if you'll remember, Walt just talked about this in the video. Hot mode will get applied to any hour that is currently run. So every time the script runs for an hour, it'll pull the hour day of what you want to happen from here. So in our case, this would be minus 20%. And then it would add the hot mode boost on top of that. This is a really easy way for you to say, I don't care what hour it is, I just know things are going really, really well, and you can boost by 50% just from this field alone. So there's a lot of power in it, but be careful. So we've got a minus 20, and a plus 20 would mean we'd get a 1 with no bid change. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just say minus 20%, we'll say a 10% boost. So minus 20 plus 10, we should get a 10%, a minus 10% modifier when we run the script. So let's go ahead and run the script and see what happens. We've got it pasted here, and there's a nice big red preview button. You want to hit this to see what happens. We're going to go ahead and click it. Remember, red and blue shoes should be modified and green should be left alone. So let's go ahead and run this. Now when it runs, it's going to take a minute to a minute and a half. Oh, it needs me to authorize it again. Just hit authorize now. Go ahead and hit allow. And here we go. I'm going to hit preview again. The authorization is, sometimes it just forgets. I'm not entirely sure why. But there's 2 tabs I want to draw you to. Changes. This is what we're on. It will show what campaign it would change and what the current old value was and what the new value would be. So it's a great way to see like what would happen if you were to run this. I'm going to go ahead and click the logs. And the script outputs currently a bunch of log information. It says it's Sunday. The current hour of the day is 15, which is 3 p.m. It found a hot mode boost of 10%, like we said, 0.1. And there's a current bid modifier of minus 20%. That's minus 0.2. So the actual multiplier it wants to do in Google is 0.8. So say minus 20%, but then you'll see final bid multiplier after applying hot mode will be 0.9. So we would be left with 90% of what our base bid was. If our base bid was $1 on that keyword or on any keyword in the campaign, those bids would all be 90 cents for this hour. So let's see. This is the log screen. See if we have anything in the changes yet. Nope, still going. An important thing to note, this script is pretty effective. We've run it successfully on accounts that have 1,000, 2,000 campaigns in them. But once you start getting over that 2,000 campaign mark, it doesn't run fast enough. You need to make your script run within 30 minutes total. And as you could imagine, accessing every single campaign and every single ad schedule and account that big can take some time. So if you have an account that big, you're probably going to want to do a custom API implementation so that you can make sure you hit all those campaigns fast enough. The scripts may not work for you. But for most people and anything under, I'd say about 2,000 campaigns, you'll be just fine. All right, so I think we got some changes here. So remember, we said not green. So look at it. It was going to add an ad schedule, which had our bid modifier in it, to red shoes and green shoes only. So we got the preview. That's exactly what we wanted. And this script is good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save, and I'm going to save it. Now it's in our account, and it's ready to be run. Now, what Walt and I have done when we're using more API stuff now, but when we were using these scripts, we would make several spreadsheets, or you could make several tabs within a spreadsheet and say, this is our shoes one, this is our shirts one, this is our pants one, as we segment and segment further, and have different Google Sheets, spreadsheets for every one of those segments. And it starts to be a whole lot of things to keep track of, but that's how you get a lot of gains, by getting down to that micro level. But for right now, for the purposes of this video, we're just going to take a look at this one script running in our account. And here it is. We can see that we can run it manually, or we can hit this create schedule link, which we're going to want to do, and it'll allow us to run on a frequency basis. So we can say one time, hourly, daily, weekly, monthly. For our purposes, we want to be 24/7. We want to run every hour. And email me if my authorization expires. That's great, because sometimes that authorization is a little flaky at times. And we're going to hit save. Okay, so now it runs hourly. An important thing to note is that you can't control what minute of the hour it runs. It might run 5 minutes after, it might run 45 minutes after. So think about that when you're putting your bids in. Most of the times it's pretty good, but you can't control it. If you want to control it even better, you're going to have to do, once again, a custom API implementation. But this tends to do well enough. So that's it. Enjoy, and happy bid optimizations, everybody.